And are we recording? We are recording. And it might not be the best sound quality, but I hold my intent that everybody who does want this information is going to get it at some point. That's appropriate. Did I give you guys some markers? I did not. So let me get a couple of this for those guys. Thank you so much for doing that, you guys. So, please. So jot down some ideas. And commitments are always a great way to engage. And we are putting this down now. Perfect. So this workshop is about the things that we think are so sure that just ain't so. Where we're limiting ourselves, our actual experience of reality and the potential of what we're able to create. So I'm going to tell you guys a big secret. I didn't want to do it earlier on the live stream because I didn't want to go out to so many people that it's super public and accessible, but you guys, you're my tribe, and you're going to get to hear what I just did something super crazy. I just hit the button and I just bought myself a ticket to Hawaii for over Thanksgiving. I did it. Because that was my homework for my spiritual counselor. She said, Christiane, I have a piece of homework for you. I'm like, what is it? She says, I want you to get your butt to Hawaii. I'm like, okay, got it. Now, what's the backstory? The backstory is that my sister got married in Kauai. Sorry, I want to say it correctly. 25 years ago, and I wasn't able to go. I don't know for what reason. I probably had a child just then, thinking about it. Grayson is 25 years old. So I wasn't going, okay? And I've always been bummed out about that. I'm like, oh man, I want to go to Hawaii. You know, world traveler, I want to see all 50 states. So Alaska is a big deal to get to. It's easier to go to Nevada, that kind of stuff. And then Hawaii is pretty much out there, right? And it's got that stigmatism about being super expensive and all that kind of stuff. So it was one of those bucket list items. What happened is, 7 years ago, again, another October anniversary, I walked the El Camino, and of course I made a ton of friends. And every October, I send out a message to all those people that I still have contact with, and I congratulate us. I'm like, hey, it's our anniversary again. Remember when we sat in the cathedral and that beautiful big incense holder was swinging over us, and we're all bawling, and we're like, oh my God, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And my friend who lives in Hawaii, and she did the El Camino at 78 years old, 6 weeks biking and hiking with her own luggage. Okay, so wow, she was a badass. And she was a German. She lived in Berlin during the war, and then she transferred over, and then she sailed the world a few times, and then she finally settled in Hawaii about 20 years ago. And when we left each other in Spain then, she said to me, Christiane, I want you to visit me. And when I sent her an email saying, hey, Claudia, here we are, 7 years later, can you believe it? El Camino, how cool was it? She immediately called me, and the first sentence she said to me, when are you finally going to visit me? And I'm like, you know what, Claudia? I have no excuses, and I'm going to do it. So we talked about it a little bit. Last sentence, she said to me, like, okay, are you going to come? She said, you better come over Thanksgiving because I'm going to throw a big party. I'm like, okay. So I went on Delta. I had $100 coupon. I got the perfect days. It's ridiculous how much I paid for the ticket, how little I paid for the ticket. And I'm going to spend 16 days with my friend Claudia, who's going to celebrate her 85th birthday. Wow. Yeah? So guys, anything is possible. And all the promises will be fulfilled, sometimes sooner, sometimes later, but they will always come true. Just like that little girl, and I just gave 2 examples this morning. Oh, I want to go to America, where John Wayne lives, touch the red walls, the beautiful red rocks, and now I've been living in Kanab for 12 years. And the view from my living room is right there, Kanab Canyon. I'm looking north into Kanab Canyon. I wanted to touch the pyramids. That happened. What I didn't tell you guys, when I was the babysitter of my little cousin, who is 10 years younger than me, 9 years younger, my aunt paid me in visits to the Chinese restaurant. And I was fascinated. I loved the architecture. I loved the food. I loved everything about it. And I said to myself, another one of those little seeds that got planted, I want to walk on the Chinese wall. And that's the first thing I did in 2008 when I had a few days between my first 2 engagements in Shanghai. I booked a flight to Beijing. I made it happen. I sat with 50 Chinese people in the Chinese bus, riding up to the Chinese wall. And I stood on that Chinese wall and I'm like, oh my God, you can create anything. You can create anything. And it's just that puny little mind of ours that says, I can't do it. It's not possible. I don't deserve it. That messes it up for us. That's all it is, you guys. It's that mind, that inner voice that most of us didn't create ourselves. It's that voice that we heard from our caretakers. And I'm not going to get into major inner child healing work. That's what we did last year. Remember that? Those of you who were here, we talked a lot about our inner child. And we talked a lot about those messages that we received as little children. And some of those messages were given to our parents from the generations before them. And that is what's getting really known now, that intergenerational healing, okay? So you can visit my videos on YouTube that I have a lot of on there, and you can educate yourself. And there's so many wonderful teachers and therapists and coaches out there nowadays who do that work. It is becoming normal, right? 30 years ago, we were blown away when we heard that for the first time, that our issues might not be our own issues, that we actually took them on from our parents and grandparents and our culture. So that is that thing that I want to burst a little bit through today, to help you to really walk out of here with that deep, deep knowingness that you can create anything you want, and that those roadblocks that you are currently still visiting are 99% out of loyalty to your parents, to your caregivers, and to your ancestry and your culture. If I'm all of a sudden not believing that anymore, I'm going to get outcast. You have no idea what happens in my brain. So I let you guys know a tiny little bit that I used to have anxiety attacks before going up on stage. Nobody would have ever known because I'm a damn good actress. And you have no idea the anxiety I have hanging out in Germany, in my hometown, in my room that I was a child in 50 years ago, and then encountering people in the grocery store. A class meeting was the biggest horror in my life, because then I felt so judged. I felt so inconfident as you couldn't believe it, and just so scared of those people like you wouldn't believe it. And this was the first time that I went to a class meeting and only 7 people showed up, because we were a small group. We were only 22 people. So 7 people showed up, and we had the most heartfelt, wonderful conversation. And we hung out at that restaurant for 3.5 hours, and everybody texted each other afterwards. That was the best meeting ever, and we all got to really chat with each other. And I was like, wow, how can this be? That all of a sudden I'm not freaking out and having panic attacks and avoiding these people of my past, because I'm so timid, and I have all these beliefs in my mind that they hate me. And they judge me, and what kind of life are you living? That's so weird. I would make it so that I wouldn't have German Facebook friends, so they wouldn't see my posts. Because I didn't want to be judged as the weirdo. What do you mean, law of attraction? What do you mean, body-mind connection? Ugh, that's crap. You can't do that. You can't change your health with your thoughts and your feelings. You can't change your financial situation because you're actually using the law of attraction to manifest that seed into physical reality through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. But that's what we do, isn't it? That's my crowd. You guys are my crowd. You're my tribe. Because we can talk on that level. And trust me, I've had some really tough conversations about that when Sean, who 100% believed in that mind-body connection and accepting the cancer into his life and knowing that he was going to transition from this world in peace and consciousness, I might say. He did a conscious journey, and I'm so proud of him for that. And that connection that we can have from spirit to physical. Blessed be every day. And I would like to challenge you to see, where does this apply in my own life? Where do I create a truth in my life that I think is real that might just not be so? Where do I limit myself? And it is out of loyalty, to bring it back to my original thought. It is out of loyalty to my parents. My father was terrified of me becoming an entrepreneur, because when he was young and he wanted to be a musician, his father didn't let him. And he said, you're going to learn a real job. So what did my dad become? An accountant. So when I announced I'm going to start my own business in 1995, which essentially I started my NLP training. I knew what I was going to do. And in 95, I hung up my shingle as a life coach, and I immediately started coaching people. So in 95, I had to confess to my parents that I'm going to give up my bank job. Oh, that girl's got a good career in the bank now, doesn't she? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this NLP stuff. And for years, they thought I was in a cult. That was the funniest of all. And I always had to, everything is okay, don't worry about it. This is a real job. I have real paying clients. Everything is cool. And my father couldn't fathom it. He couldn't fathom what this girl is doing over there 6,000 miles away. And I was being loyal to him in my deep unconscious mind because, well, if my dad thinks it's wrong, it must be wrong. And I would sabotage myself. Great deals would come up and then they fall apart. Or an opportunity would come and then it kind of worked and didn't work, whatever. Until I finally made peace with it. Until I finally declared it to myself, no, I am not honoring my father by playing small and doing that typical German thinking of in the box and this is what you're going to be. So you have your white picket fence and your 2.3 children. I honor my father by taking that incredible creativity that he has. My father sings fantastic. He plays over 20 instruments. You can put any instrument in front of him and he's going to get a song out of it. Unbelievable. And he's always made music. He won 2 German championships and 6 state championships being the conductor of a big band. And that's my legacy. That is my heritage. And now that legacy heritage is being presented in me standing up here and doing workshops. I'm using my voice. I allow myself for my creativity to run the show. And that's how I'm now being loyal to him. So please map that over into your own experience of any kind of disloyalty that you feel that you might have towards your parents, towards your family system at large, towards your neighbors, your culture, your general upbringing, and the big picture of humanity. Where do you feel disloyal? If you truly were to embrace your light and dig deeper into who you really are, that soul part that wants to manifest itself so much in this physical form. That's what I recently learned. It is about that alignment with our soul, because in my belief system, the soul is 100% healthy, complete, and perfect, because it is that individual expression of the universe that then, through incarnation, becomes a human, or a whale, or a flower, whatever. And that part of us knows it. That part of us is never, ever disconnected. Never. And so aligning ourselves with that part through our creative expression, music, art, beautiful sports that we do, taking a walk, sniffing a flower, anything that we can do that allows our soul to express itself is what I consider life. That's what life is all about, that joy in the moment of like, wow, that is the most awesome smelling rose that I'm enjoying right now. How cool is that? I got to enjoy that in my Germany evening walks because it was 90 degrees and 90% humidity. And so after 10 o'clock, it finally got to a level where you're like, okay, I can walk now without drenching myself. And that was my favorite thing to do, is sniff the roses. Like one of those, funny little metaphors. Don't forget to sniff the roses. I'm like, I'm going to sniff the roses, damn it. So those are those tiny little moments where the soul shines through. Those perfections of moments. And that just happened when I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest little setup. I have to do that with my grandkids. What a cool little thing to do for Thanksgiving. We can do a cool art project. That's one of those moments right there. Or when I sniffed that sage earlier, or when I'm drinking my drink, or when I received those balloons, or when I see all of you guys. And I'm so happy that you're here today. And it's just that loyalty and those perceived untruths that we're still keeping out of loyalty that stop us from having that. Do we have a couple of ideas where you guys would be willing to share? 3-4 people where you limit yourself because you're still stuck in some kind of a loyalty enmeshment with some loved ones or your culture, or anything that I haven't mentioned. So who here is going to jump in? And guess what? That person's going to get my very first prize today because I promised prizes. So one of you is going to get something. Who's going to be my first person today?
I will.
Well, of course, Tina Marie. Because you're awesome, and I'm so happy you're here, Tina Marie.
I still hold on to the money belief stuff because of my mom's, and it still affects me, even though I've worked on it a ton.
And sometimes it does take a little bit of a ton, because we're circling around and we're digging deeper and we're peeling the onion layers, and then there will be that moment of you like, got it. And you will feel that you have truly leapt a quantum leap ahead. And then something is going to fall off that you never even thought possible, and all of a sudden things are going to be different. And I know that's who you are, Tina Marie, because I've watched your growth for many, many years. And thank you for being my super jumper inner. And this is some sage that I brought you from Arizona.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to see my love. It wouldn't be a workshop without Tina Marie, so thank you for showing up.
You're welcome.
Okay, come on, I got something else. I'm going to give a bow hook. What is it, Monica?
Worry. I worry. My mom was a worrier. My grandmother was a worrier. And I feel like there's, I've gone with help from you 21 years ago. I was able to get through so many other things.
Yeah.
That worry gene seems to keep coming back up.
Oh, and then we call it a gene. Ooh, we love that language. Because it's in me, I can't change it. Can't change it, right? Can't change our genes. Bruce Lipton, right?
Yeah.
He is a hero. So please, everybody, put down Bruce Lipton. Watch Bruce Lipton videos, you guys. He's going to blow your mind. Epigenetics. A whole new fantastic study that the world is just now starting, like Lipton tea. Funny enough, that the whole world is now waking up to what this fantastic man has discovered decades ago, and now he's getting more and more of a following. So yeah, it's in our genes, isn't it? And let's just do it right here on the spot. So, of course, everybody can identify a little bit, right? With the worry gene. So, I would like for you to just drop into your heart right now. And I would like to look at your mom and your grandma and your other family members who I'm so sure modeled it to you as well. And she's German, so, oh yeah, we're good at that. We're so good at worrying. And oh my God, someone actually said it the other day, I don't put my expectations too high because I don't want to get disappointed. Oh yeah, we know that one too, don't we? Yeah. And I would like for you to now embrace your loved ones who gave you that gene, that belief, that framework. And I would like, just like I had that discovery with my father, oh wow, I'm not being loyal to you by doing this. I'm being loyal to you by thriving, by changing, by taking our family tree to the next level. Feel that, Monica? That you're not actually being loyal. No, sorry. Misconception. The reality is that you are being loyal by helping yourself and your loved ones, and especially your children and all those who come after you, to let go of that old belief and embrace the new belief. I am loyal to you by embracing the new way of trusting, of thriving, gratitude, connection, trust, faith, everything that's important to you. And I want you to really feel that, everybody. I'm not loyal to you by just doing the same old, same old. That is such a crazy thought when you really think about it, you guys. Right? Our loyalty is through the transformation and through the changing and thriving that we are now taking our whole family up to the next level of consciousness. I want you to really, really open your heart to that and your mind to that right now, because that is a very dramatic and life-changing thought. And if that's the only thing that you're going to take with you today, then I did my job. Thank you very much. So everybody got that? I am not loyal to you by rehashing the old, same old, same old. Say that to yourself right now in your heart. I'm not being loyal to you by doing it. And see your parents, see your loved ones going, oh, honey, we never wanted that for you. When my mom recounted to me my grandmother had Alzheimer's, my mother had Alzheimer's, and I'm going to have Alzheimer's too. I'm like, oh, so you want me to have Alzheimer's? No, I don't want that. Well, when you're telling me that you got it because of your mom, then it's predestined that I'm going to get it. And you should have seen her eyes rolling and how she was like, her brain doing all kind of twitching. And I've shared with you that she had aneurysms that were 5 and 3 millimeters tall, which is pretty big. because at 6 millimeters you have to operate, and they would have gone in through her hip into her skull, and she didn't want that. And I said to her, why don't you make them smaller? She said, well, the doctor said that can't be done. You can maintain them and hope that they don't grow, but you can't reduce them. Well, guess what? Over the years, she had multiple visits, and the doctors couldn't believe why her aneurysm shrank. And she's maintained that. And then 2 years ago, she almost died of COVID, and her dementia went into overdrive. Holy smokes, that woman aged 10 years in 2 weeks. And she could do nothing by herself. And Sean and I gave up our walk for Hildegard von Bingen to be with her and nurse her back to health. And that woman sat with me 2 weeks ago learning Rummy Cube, or Rummy Cup, however you call it. One of my favorite games. And she's a badass. She's playing there, she's winning, she's like, figuring out all that stuff. And she's cooking again, she's ironing again, she's going on walks with my father. And she just broke her hip 8 weeks ago the day I arrived. Let's talk about a little codependency here. She's like, oh, my daughter is here, she's going to hang out with me when I'm not doing well. Sorry, that's a little side story. And guess what? The doctors all affirmed to her how incredible it was, how fast she healed. And then she got released from rehab. You go to a Cure, which is a very fancy hotel for sick people, and you get to play a lot of games, and you have massages every day, and you get fantastic food and everything else. And they kicked her out after a week because she was fully healed. And that was 7 weeks after she broke her hip. 81-year-old woman. And why? Because she always says, weeds don't die. And she's a rebel in her heart. So when you tell her she can't do it, she will find a way to do it. And that's what I tapped into. What a badass she is. And we had a wonderful phone call yesterday. And we talked very sweetly. And it was one of those super heartwarming conversations. And I affirmed her. I'm like, look at Mutti, how well you did that. Just because you're such a rebel, aren't you? And she's like, I can just feel how she's like, yeah, that's me. So, hello, when an 81-year-old woman can do that, and now she's kicking Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, I'm not really well versed what the difference is between Alzheimer and dementia. I use the words interchangeably. The point is her brain was really deteriorating, where she didn't know people's names, and she didn't know what she was doing yesterday. And now I just make casual mentions of something that happened a couple of days earlier, and she's like, well, when you said blah, 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 I'm like, look at that. I'm constantly testing her. I know, I'm being a mean little scientist. But man, what an inspirational example. So now imagine her going to her mother and saying, hey, Mutti, I'm not being loyal to you by living that same life that you lived and giving in to the dementia and having it for years, where you had to be totally taken care of for years before you finally were able to pass on. I'm going to do it the other way, and that's how I'm going to be loyal to you. And then her mom wrapping her arms around her and going, of course, Ursula. Why would I want you to have that? To show your love to me? How silly is that? Are you guys feeling it? Are you feeling it, guys? I really want you to be like, oh, yeah, of course. No, seriously, that was mind-blowing to me. When I finally made that switch, when I took something that I so believed for sure, that I'm being loyal to my dad by, I need to be a good accountant, I need to be a good banker. It's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Hate Mondays, love Fridays. So then on the weekends I can do my hobbies, And my dad is elated about my life. One of the most beautiful moments I had was that very stoic German man you can imagine, who still shakes my hand. No, that's not true. He gives me hugs now. When he said to me, Christiane, I'm proud of you for living your dream. And that was the highest compliment this man could have given me, with his very, very Germanness, where you don't say stuff like that. And now I know that I'm making him proud, because that was a big deal for me, because I felt so shameful about not making my parents proud and knowing that they have a good legacy in their big daughter who left Germany at 24 years old. And now I know that, and we have a fantastic relationship. And now, even so I don't have to say the words out loud to him, I know that he knows that I'm being his loyal daughter by furthering this work, by being the crazy entrepreneur who lives from project to project, traveling the world, which is something they also can't understand. Do you feel it, Monica? Do you get it from your mom and your grandma and all the other family members? So make a big circle around yourself, you guys, right now. All of your family members are giving you a big, 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 big group hug right now, going, thank you so much for taking us out of the trap. Give that to yourself right now. Thank you so much for taking us out of this self-imposed trap of how it's done. We all did the best we could, and that's what we all do. All humans do that. We did the best we could, and thank you for being the one who's tearing down the barrier, who's creating that flow so that we can now abundantly flow together. And thank you for elevating our family to the next level. Yes, aho. Yeah, now I can feel you got it because I got the goosebumps. Woo, yeah. Are you feeling some goosebumps, everybody? Come on, feel something. Yes, right? So yeah, you guys, so keep affirming that. Please, please, please. Your family deserves it. And your family has been desperately waiting for you to make that declaration. This is something I would definitely write down to put into your meditations over those next few weeks. To affirm that every day to yourself until it becomes normal. And the next time you catch yourself doing a behavior, having some kind of feelings or thoughts, where you're going, where the hell did I learn this? Or why am I always acting like my mother? Or whatever. However you get in that little moment of consciousness going, I'm doing it. That you go, I'm sorry that I used to declare my loyalty through doing exactly what you did, even so I know it didn't serve you. And I now recommit myself again to do it in a new way, to honor myself, my family system, and my culture by elevating our system to the next level. Something like that. Use your own words. Thank you, Monica, for bringing that up. That was perfect. And have you already gotten my book, The Playing Games?
No, but I was just about to buy it. So
Well, guess what? Then this is your gift, my dear friend, and I thank you so very much.
Awesome.
Alrighty. And then I saw Charmaine. You had your hand up. Did you want to share one too?
Yeah.
Please do.
Well, as you were talking, I just realized one of my stories was from my mother, who was a music teacher, who said, music is not a practical career.
Exactly. Genau.
She wanted to be an opera singer, and she's now 78 years old and started studying again, and she sings better than she did when she was 20. And every time I talk to her, she's learned a new technique and figured out a new body posture thing, and she can do things she could never do before, and she's finally happy. So it's like, wait a minute, she doesn't even believe that anymore. So why would I still believe that?
Right. And now you get to be an even more loyal daughter by letting your voice shine even more, and then you guys get to sing together gloriously. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
All right, that is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So there is the healing journey now. And it might actually be worthwhile to talk with her about that. Say, Mom, can you please share with me what made the change? What shifted?
Mm-hmm.
And who knows how much you had to do with that energetically, by holding intent for her, by modeling for her, letting your own beautiful voice shine, right? Yeah. I know you guys still do CDs, don't you? You're one of those folks who still has a CD player, am I right? Good, because then you're going to get my CD. Step into your quantum state. And this is also what I brought for you guys. For those of you, I know we're the kind of crowd where people actually still have CD players, right? Yeah, I actually do too. Once in a while, I kick in a CD or a DVD, you know, those streaming people don't do anymore. So thank you. I really appreciate that fantastic example. And you actually gave us the movement forward. And even at 78, we can regain our voice. And we can do things that we gave up many decades earlier. Isn't that cool? Wow, so much hope, you guys. So much possibility, phenomenal. So in my studies of NLP, one of our big teachers is Robert Dilts. And he's a very famous person. He travels all over the world. Dilts, D-I-L-T-S, has a phenomenal website. He has a whole encyclopedia about NLP that you can access without paying for it. And he has a ton of videos. And he made 3 distinctions about beliefs. In order for you to hold a belief, there is something about possibility. It can be done at all. I can heal myself of cancer, for example. Or I can create a financial abundance, even so everybody tells me right now it's a crazy time because of the recession. I can have multiple relationships that are mutually beneficial, where I'm able to be there for my children as well as travel the world and for my own business, versus the belief that most of the Chinese people I hold, and that's what a lot of my work is, it's an either or belief. It's not possible. I can either build my business or I can be for my kids. I have a nanny because I'm building my business, and that's what a lot of people suffer under. So possibility is the number one. You have to believe it's even possible to achieve, okay? The second one is probability. I can do it. Well, of course I believe that you can do it. Now I can do it. So my friend Joni, over there, red shirt, casually mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, oh yeah, I'm going to do a detox, and I'm going to do 30 days no sugar and no flour, and I'm not going to, I don't know if he even said dairy, and I was intrigued. Because I got what we call in Germany a little bit of Kummerspeck, which is grief fat. That's what you do when you overeat a little bit because you're dealing with grief. So, I kind of excused it to myself. I got grief fat. Oh, well, that's just normal and whatever. But it's getting to a point where my knees are hurting and my lower back was hurting a little bit. And I'm like, I just don't want to be this heavy. So I'm like, oh my God, Joni's doing this crazy diet. I could never give up sugar. So it wasn't possible, right? I really was stuck in that. It's not possible. I cannot live without my latte. Well, today was my first coffee in 9 days. Because I literally lived without sugar and caffeine and flour and meat and dairy for 9 days. And then this evening I'm going to start again, and I'm going to give myself another 10 days and then another 10 days, and I'm going to do this at least until Christmas. And then I'm going to see what happens. So I took it from the realm, yeah, I know you can do it, and you can do it, and you can do it, but it's not my thing. I can't do it. So probability is bringing it into our own personal realm. So where are you stuck because you think, yeah, other people can do it, but I can't do it? Please, go there right now, okay? And the third one is my favorite. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I don't have the value. Who am I? How often do we hear that? Who am I to think that I could do that? You guys, that's our woundedness as humanity. Yeah, that's how they keep us small. They being them. Yeah. I'm going to quote Reverend Elizabeth O'Day. You are deserving simply because you're here. That was one of those moments when I sat in church going, I don't have to run after it, chase it, manifest it, and finally work my way up to finally being deserving. I have it just because I'm here? How cool is that? Simply because we chose to be born in this world and have a physical experience, we are deserving. Isn't that great? One of the biggest reframes of my life. And I would like to share that with you today if you have never heard that before. You're deserving just because your soul said, let's do this trip. Let's come here and have some fun. Again, it's just loyalty that keeps you from fully embracing your deservingness. Let that sink in. You're just being loyal to all the undeservingness that you have ever gotten modeled from your teachers, from your neighbors, from your group of friends, and anybody you ever came in touch with, most likely before the age of 10. Because that's when our neurology is pretty much set in stone. And from then on, it's just repetition. And we are so brilliant that we are literally creating the life circumstances to constantly emphasize our belief. Well, see, I told you so. Glass half empty. That's just the way it is. You make the money, you lose it again. You can't trust people. People betray you. Blah, blah, blah. We are so brilliant. And that's the part that I want you to understand consciously. we are so brilliant that we will literally expose ourselves to the life circumstances, and the universe is so amazingly compliant that it will literally surround us with those circumstances to prove us right. Over and over and over and over and over again. Unbelievable. When you really start thinking about it, it is mind-blowingly crazy. And it's insanity. You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. And we're all good at it because, unfortunately, that's what we learn. And our parents don't do it maliciously. Our neighbors don't do it maliciously. Our siblings, whoever we come in contact with, our teachers, they don't do it maliciously. They just gave us what they were taught. That's all it is. And it is that collective awakening that we're currently experiencing. Remember what I said about who is going to win the Super Bowl? It's the team that is more in alignment with winning. That's all it is. Who's going to win the election, as crazy as it sounds? It's the team that is more in alignment. That has nothing to do with the vibration. It's more about the alignment and what we collectively need. So if it happens in a way that it's not to your satisfaction, I would like for you to ask yourself, I wonder how this is going to serve me. And perhaps it is because you're a rebel and you want a good challenge. It is just because we don't understand the bigger picture that we have those judgments. And at this point, I'm going to go right back to Hermetics. Okay, so here's what I didn't share with you guys earlier. I went into the all. Everything in the universe is made of energy. Energy vibrates, and then it goes into the rhythm. Everything has rhythm, good and bad. The waves go in, the waves go out. The moon grows, the moon goes small, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. And then the fifth rule is about how we manage that rhythm, polarity, and then how we manage that rule. Law is the idea, and this is where I'm paraphrasing the Kybalion. The master is the person who is able to elevate them above duality, and they get to look down, and that's ultimately the observer, what we're talking about in the bleep. You become the observer who's able to see, oh my goodness, look what's going on down there in the duality. And we're able to adhere to the higher laws of the universe. And we're not going to get swept up in the flow of the in and out and the through and fro and the duality. So we are able to come from the oneness. And then we do understand the bigger picture. And we do understand why everything is perfect the way it is. It's perfect, you guys. Sorry to have to say it. No matter who's going to win, no matter what's going to happen, no matter who's going to show up at the Super Bowl or the Olympics, the athletes, it doesn't matter. What's going to happen? It is perfect, because that's what we all created together for our communal growth, where we're going as humanity. Can you feel that? So powerful. Gives me so much peace of mind, because then I don't have to be worried about my future. I don't have to be worried about the future of my children. My parents always say, we lived our lives. We had good lives. They were the boomers who totally born in the war, didn't have much recollection of it, and then Germany just took off. They were what we call the economic miracle kids, And they're like, yeah, we're now 80s now. We're not worried about it. If an atom bomb drops somewhere, oh well, we lived our life. She's like, well, for you, I'm a little sorry, but other children, when my kids were young, how can you bring children into this world? And now I have grandkids, and I need to think another 100 years into the future. Dang it. But I'm not worried anymore, because I know God, the universe, is going to give them the resources they need. And I know they're going to be my little hermetic master goddesses and gods who are able to elevate above the duality of craziness. And they're going to be at the right place, at the right time, with the right people doing the right thing. That's what I now believe. And I give him full responsibility for saying, and I want to be there for that. Michael Beckwith, I got to see him many years ago. He was at the Salt Palace. It was one of those beautiful expos. I'm sure some of you were there. And he said, you really think that you didn't sign up for this? And that was one of those pivotal moments in my life again, when I was all complaining and, I can't believe it. There's so much sadness in the world. And can I be happy when there's so much suffering? I actually met a wonderful priest, Father Christiane, hilarious, from Chile. And I had a session with him 3 years ago in Texas. And I asked him about that. I'm like, do I deserve to be happy when there is so much suffering and negativity in the world? He said, God wants you to be happy. He needs you to be happy. And that worry went away. In that moment, my brain shifted and neurology was built. I'm like, no, I'm not serving anybody. I'm not being the loyal daughter of humanity by being unhappy because other people are unhappy. What I'm doing in that moment is just unloading more unhappiness into the pool of consciousness, right? Versus every rose I'm sniffing. By the way, I keep looking at these beautiful geometric patterns back there. Can't not look there, Getting joy from that, seeing that beautiful Buddha picture. Seeing a nod, a smile, some movement, and that just gives me happiness. And every thought of happiness, every feeling of happiness, every act of happiness is a direct download into the collective conscience that connects all of us. Imagine it like a big ocean, a big pool with energy vibration. And by the way, this is the work of Carl Jung. That you are now, every thought you have, every feeling you have, every deed you do is a direct download, and it now makes it available for everybody else. So with that in mind, don't we have the actual social responsibility to only download good stuff? And that every fear I'm downloading about the future, and gas is going to cost $25, and they're not going to have clean water, whatever else. I'm not doing my grandchildren a service. I am doing a service teaching them, you are lucky, you're a master manifester, you can create whatever you want. Rylin, my oldest, 7 years old. For some reason, she's got that thing with France. The Olympics were happening, she was fascinated. She was like, I'm going to go to Paris. I was at the dollar store in Germany, it's called Teddy. And I saw this beautiful little journal with Paris on top of it. And then they had the Eiffel Tower. Well, guess what? I bought the journal for her and I prepped it for her because I'm a big journaler and I love stickers. Hint, hint, Heather, love your stickers. And then a friend gave me a beautiful sticker book. And so I made this wonderful journal for her about, this is my manifestation. I get to go to Paris and see the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to see Mona Lisa. So she now has a list of the things she wants to see. She has a list of the things she wants to pack. The foods she wants to try. The French words she wants to learn. And so on and so on. Because I'm now, being the scientist that I am, prepping that little girl to manifest that trip for herself. While her little 4-year-old sister just got her passport because she's going to go visit my parents for the first time with her daddy in January. So you guys, you can create anything you want. And these little people don't have that conception yet that they can't do it because it hasn't been taught to them yet, right? So let that go right now and give yourself again to that innocence, that magnificence of being able to keep your download positive and putting it into the universe over and over and over again. I want to touch the pyramids. I want to walk on the Chinese wall. I want to see those places where John Wayne made his movies. I want to be at the Grand Canyon. We were at the Grand Canyon on Monday just because it's an hour away. Why wouldn't I? And those are memories that those kids are never going to forget. Those are imprints that these kids have about, I can do whatever I want. That's just my life. Those are my Oma adventures. And then I remembered my aunt. We called her a crazy aunt because she was the one where I got to watch TV till 12 o'clock at night. And they were those black and white movies with Humphrey Bogart and mysteries. And I got to play cards with her. And then she would let me walk around in her crazy high heels. And she had these beautiful robes. And I was always the goddess when I was with her. And she had big, fluffy sheep carpets and stuff. She was my crazy aunt. She had a black bathroom. And then when I was taking baths, she would just keep adding hot water, which Germans don't do. And guess what she did when I was 8 years old? She took me to the Netherlands for 1 week. And we did a trip all around the Netherlands. I hadn't thought about that in almost 50 years. And it hit me just a few weeks ago when someone said, wow, you're the crazy adventure grandma. I'm like, oh, my crazy aunt Tilly. Silly, right? And like, she took me to the Netherlands. Look at those seeds being planted, huh, you guys? And she downloaded that for me. You can do it. You are worth it. Yeah. So, I want someone to give me a great story about where you were planted and implanted and imprinted with some kind of, you are worthy of this seed. Come on, give me a good one. I want to hear something super awesome, positive. And that person's going to get something very special. Oh, we have a hand and we have a call. So Linda's going to share that, and then you're going to share next. Okay, wonderful. Linda, what do you got for us? Oh my God, I keep calling you Linda. I'm so sorry. Hi, Jen. You didn't correct me earlier. You're like, oh, you can call me Linda.
Accustomed to not being noticed.
Oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Oh, thank you so much. Jen.
That is more embarrassing for me to hear that than if you just sort of said, yeah, I understand, because I really am.
Hilarious.
I don't speak out much. Well, anyway.
Well, this is your turn, my friend.
The realization I got is that I was raised in New England, and I've always known that people are a little bit different. They don't express themselves real openly. They're mostly quiet and agreeable and everything, and never speak out, for what you want or anything like that. But I got to realize, I think today, that is filtered all the way through my family. Nobody is outspoken. Everybody's pretty quiet. Mostly you listen politely, and it's just the way it is there. And so what I realize is that the profession I chose in chaplaincy and ministry is that I get to sit with people and listen, because that's what I learned, and we can have conversations, but the minute I stand up to say anything in front of anybody, like right now, if I stood up, I would be speechless. I'm sitting down, so I'm okay. But I've noticed that when I get up and speak in church, it's like I get up and everything goes blank and I don't know anything. But I can see now where it comes from, because in New England, you just kind of were quiet about everything. Nobody ever spoke up about much of anything. But it was pretty happy. But I can certainly see where my reluctance to get up and speak for myself is.
Aha, there's the biggie. Yeah. I was like, okay, how does this relate now to you being a public speaker? So it's speaking up for yourself. And how funny is to be called the wrong name, and not just once, but multiple times today. That's hilarious. So, yeah, job well done, Linda Jen. So here's a strategy I'm going to share with you guys, and that's something I learned exactly 30 years ago. This is how you remember names, and I don't even know what happened, and I can only excuse it with, well, I haven't seen you in 10 years or something like that. When you want to remember information about other people, the reason most of the time that we do forget the information is because we're having internal dialogue while we're doing it. We're introducing ourselves, we're hearing the other person's information, but we're not even taking it in. We're actually saying to ourselves internally, I hope they like me, and I hope I'm not messing it up, and whatever else. So what you want to do is you remember the name by mentioning it to yourself several times internally. This is Jen, this is Jen, this is not Linda, this is Jen. Jan or Jen?
Janice, it was Janice.
Janice, okay, thank you for clarifying that. So I'm now saying the word to myself several times. And you can do the same thing with people saying, oh, by the way, I live in Texas now. Okay, Texas. You imagine the map of Texas, which is the visual component, and you say the information to yourself multiple times, okay? And then the second component is you visualize it. You imagine a name tag, you imagine a crown with it being on there, you imagine it being behind them. And so I would do the same thing. Janice goes by Jen. Janice, Jen. Janice, Jen. And I just see that. I see her now. And the reason I call you Linda is because of Linda Brewer. I just got you guys mixed up in my head, so I apologize for that. And now I have a visual representation and I have an auditory representation, and the third one is kinesthetic, which means you get it into your body by writing it down multiple times. So I would actually take a note right now, Janice, 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 Jen, or you can do it in your mind, and of course nowadays people actually type it in their phone. There we are. There it is. So you need some kind of a physical representation, which can also be a handshake, a hug, or any kind of activity that you're doing with your body. So that is a very simple strategy that you can learn from NLP, because NLP is all about the filter of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. What do you see, what do you hear, and what do you experience with your body? I'm going to come to you next. Chad, whose name I remembered because I used the strategy. Neuro-linguistic programming, and that's the study that I started 30 years ago, which is all about that manifestation from the inside out through a more enhanced use of our brain. So very fascinating, and those of you who have never heard about it, definitely go to YouTube and watch some of my videos. I have introduction to NLP, I have law of attraction and all kinds of stuff, and lots of other teachers who I also adore, who are very well versed in this area. So thank you for clarifying that, chat, that people got to know that. All right, so first of all, Jan is going to get a special gift from my very dear friend Sylvia Nibley, who many of you know, and these are called the inquiry cards, and you might have heard of them, and they are phenomenal. This is a wonderful way to interact with the universe, where you just draw a card that is going to give you a question. You can do it for a day, you can put it out there, and she sends this with her love. Okay, so thank you for being my play buddy and for allowing me to call you Linda today. And now you can test me next time. I better know what's your name to know that my strategy works. Okay, you guys. So you had raised your hand. What did you want to share with us?
I get so into what people are saying.
Yeah, right.
What I was going to say. What was your question?
It was about sharing a phenomenally awesome seeds that was planted in you when you were a child, something about possibility, probability, deservingness, where you knew you were totally deserving.
I don't know if it was from childhood. I just, I was in a near fatal accident, and I broke my neck and damaged my spinal cord.
Yeah.
And I actually passed on the other side, and I completely remember all of it. And we are so powerful. We are all one. We are God. We are the universal creator, an expression of everything you were saying is true.
Yeah.
And I just came back with more of the knowing, things we forget here. And just that we can have and do and be anything and everything we want. And we are in control of that. And I came back and they were like, told my family and everything, she'll never walk again, she'll never use her arms, legs, she'll never have valve use, never breathe on her own.
And you did it anyway, didn't you?
I'm living proof.
Yeah. How long ago is that?
8 years.
And what's your name, please?
Maya.
Maya. What a beautiful thing that you're sharing that with us. So you just elevated it for all of us. I'm like, what can I offer her? What's the resource? You're the master, dude.
No.
Can I just give you some sage?
I would love that.
I would love that too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that is phenomenal. Did you bring her? I saw you guys walking in together. No? You just
She did bring us because I had no clue where I was going.
Yeah.
I went, yeah.
I'm so happy you showed up here, Maya.
Just from the parking lot.
Yeah. Wonderful. Parking lot friends. Perfect. Oh, some good friendships start in the parking lot, trust me. Oh, yeah. And Maya just reminded me, because I have 3 coaching sessions to give away. So everybody, would you please make sure that you put your name and phone number on one of those sheets? And then I can draw 3 people today who will walk away with a coaching session. If you please put those guys back there. And then the bucket. Julie, my faithful, fantastic, loyal assistant of many trainings. She loves to jump right in. Thank you so much. So set your intent. Anybody who wants a 30-minute phone coaching session, if this is yours to take today, then you shall be the one walking away with that today. So let's everybody settle that in with what Maya just shared with us. That's pretty powerful. Fantastic. I'm so glad you spoke up, Maya. A friend of mine told me today she had a tarot reading and she got the Tower and Death. And I said, oh, that's awesome. You got new beginnings and you got the breakdown of old beliefs that don't serve you anymore. So sometimes we do have to go way, way down into the cave of healing, into the labyrinths and the maze, to completely dismember, so that then when we emerge again, get reborn, we can remember in a new way, in a higher consciousness. So if anybody has any doubt about what's possible, then Maya, you just completely blew it out of the water. Thank you so much for sharing that. Love it. I'm going to let that settle in for a moment because that was powerful. Wow. You never know what's going to happen, you know? I love it.
Don't share it very often. So,
Well, that's why it's even more meaningful, my dear. Thank you so much.
And your name is illusion, right? Maya is the
Maya,
illusion.
of course. Of course.
Can I say something while I'm
Oh,
thinking
please,
about it?
Judy.
So the other day, when I was at a different work, I got this just really fun. Hello,
Judy.
Laura. You'd like me to come this way first? This is what I'm good at doing too, right?
Oh, but with grace.
That was Grace. It was all of a sudden something happened, you know, somebody cuts in front or whatever. But it was like, it's such a joy to be human. And I came back and I was at work and so I was talking to somebody about it. And then somebody that was at work was like, we've forgotten how fun it is, the joy to just be human, right? And walk around and trip and do all the things that we do, right? And just have fun. All right. I'm having fun with my...
Yeah, got more. Got a couple more.
Well, I think I got one more back here too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome. Back. To just remember to have a lot of fun. That's what you're doing. There you go, my dear.
And I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to so seriously put you guys on the spot because I know they're not shy about it. Judy is celebrating her 80th birthday this year. And she's going on a cruise in Europe. Yeah. And her lovely friend Diane, and those two have been friends since they were kids. 85, everybody. Okay? So, oh yeah. That's why I hang with people who are at least 30 years older than me. Because those are my idols. And I love you guys. I've loved you for 30 years. Oh my God, what we've been through together is unbelievable.
we're so proud of you.
Thank you. It's good to have spiritual mothers and aunties. It's wonderful. And find some people in your life. You know that whole thing about the conglomeration of the people you hang out with is who you are. The average of the 5 people you're hanging out with, okay? So be mindful, guys. Be mindful. Yeah, what are you exposing yourself to? What environment are you creating around yourself? Which is going to lead us to feng shui. And a lot of you know my dear friend Jen Magner, who's been living in Texas for many years now, and we wrote a book together. And this is one of the original prints that we had made before the book came out on Amazon and was actually fully available to people. So this is going to be my next giveaway for whoever wants to share next, because it is about the environment that we're creating around ourselves. It is about what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and what we're feeling. It's about the furniture we surround ourselves with. It's about the space and the cleanliness of the space. Thank you. That's actually a note to myself, because I have a special challenge coming up. So with that whole no sugar thing, which is so easy, you guys, I can't even believe how easy that is. I'm like blown away. I was actually at my friend's house where there's a lot of Coca-Cola consumption, and that is my favorite thing to do, you know that. And yeah, for me to go 9 days without Coca-Cola, and I was there last night and I didn't have a Coke while my son was having one, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm digging it, definitely. So I'm doing a challenge. Declutter your mind, your body, and space. Because, oh, do we love clutter, don't we? And you know how I am with all my Zen attitude. So, between November 1st and November 30th, I'm putting out a 30-day challenge for $30 online on Facebook for anybody who would like to join me in that, because I'm so inspired by this journey and that I was able to do it, that I know I can now congruently teach it to other people as well, that it's about decluttering our mind, letting go of those beliefs that don't serve us anymore, letting go of whatever we have in our body on the level of diseases or anything else that you just don't want in your body. And then also, please, people, get a clean space. Your space is a direct reflection of what's going on in your brain. You know that, right? So if you have a lot of crap that you're holding on to because you're still like, it's from my grandmother, but I hate it and I can't let it go, perhaps it's time to consider letting it go. Or if you just got stacks of paper, my favorite thing, and that's one of the gifts from my mother, who is a uber OCD organizer, and she has one of those beliefs. One of her points of pride is, you can ask me anything and I'm going to find it. And she does. And guess what? Scary. Me too. I have my organization of paperwork, and I was an accountant, I was a bookkeeper when I first started at Anchor Point 30 years ago. I actually took a lot of my trainings at the institute that I worked at as well. They gave me a job, and I handled the money, I handled the paperwork, and I handled the filing. And I can find anything. If I still have it, it's there, and I will find it. So please create a clean space, you guys. If you have too many furniture pieces, if you have too many clothes, it's always hilarious to go into someone's closet and then they can't even get the hangers apart because they have so many damn clothes. And you know the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you wear 20% of what you got. That's one of my favorite rules. 80% of the time you're wearing the same 10 damn outfits. And the rest is just hanging around, gathering dust. And there's always someone who will love it. Goodwill is the best thing we've got going, you guys. Oh yeah. Give it to DI. Go to your thrift shop. Let it go. Okay? So, anybody who likes a little challenge, I'm here for you. And you do find me on Facebook. I mentioned YouTube's a couple of times. And those of you who actually want to buy the products that I brought today, books are $15, the CDs are $5, and my Venmo is Christiane-Turner-1. So you guys, that out of the way, we are now having a question or comment from Teresa. What are you going to share, my dear?
Well, I just wanted to share the planting the seed bit.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Please do.
All right. 50 years ago, I came across, a friend of mine gave me a book, and it was about Thomas Troward. My youngest daughter was only 2 or 3 at the time, and it changed my life. It was responsible for my journey to here 50 years later. And it's just been the same thing. And Thomas Troward's philosophy was what brought me to here. So I'm a practitioner here now 10 years. It's been an amazing journey, So just wanted to tell you that about that.
I totally appreciate that. And so those of you who would like to find out more, Thomas Troward. He is also a philosopher of the 20th century, one of our Emerson and all the other friends. Yeah, isn't that wonderful how all these teachings are now coming to the surface? I just love it because we're ready for it. So, Teresa, I would like to give this to you. And I know this has special meaning to you because you're also a friend of Jan's.
Oh, lovely.
So this is
Thank you very much.
You are so
lovely.
very welcome.
Thank you.
So, you guys, okay, how's everybody feeling right now? Are you getting some ideas how this is going to be useful to you? Because that's very, very, very important to me. I don't want to send you away with a bunch of information that's going to just dwindle away over the next few weeks. And then in a couple of months, you don't even remember what we talked about. I want to make this practical. I want to make it applicable. So now we're getting into what you guys consider the manifestation. Idea, law, and then physical manifestation, which ultimately turns into what are the thoughts you're thinking on a consistent basis, what are the kind of emotions that you're feeling on a consistent basis, and then what are the physical manifestations, what are the actions that you're taking. And I'm going to give you a very practical example out of my own life, and it's so simple. It's actually amazing to me. Now it's almost 2 months, little more probably, 9-10 weeks ago, that this happened. And I actually mentioned that in one of my free seminars, which I'm doing regularly, semi-regularly on my Facebook page. If you guys want to join me, find me on Facebook, and I make an announcement a couple of days before, and then you can also watch it afterwards. And I just shared that story that someone had mentioned to me, because we had a discussion in a group about how do you wake up in the morning? How do you feel when you wake up? Do you just go like, it's a new day? And as a recovering insomniac, I admit that most of the time my thought was, crap, I didn't get enough sleep. Or crap, it's 6 o'clock versus 8 o'clock. Or crap, I only got 5 hours again. Something like that. I admit it, okay? That was one of my thoughts. So I knew this doesn't serve me anymore, and that's not who I want to be in this world. I don't want those thoughts to be the first thing that my mind sends out into that collective pool of the universe first thing in the morning, which is a very powerful time in our lives, right? So in that discussion, one of our friends offered the suggestion saying, a friend of mine did, hey God, what cool thing are we going to do today? Was her first thought. And I'm like, oh, that's the best thing I ever heard. So I went home and I did, hey God, because of course I have to have my own version of it. Hey God, what cool adventures are we going to have today? And I put it on one of those beautiful scrapbooking papers. It's now hanging on my door. I have a little version that I take with me when I travel. And I've practiced that for about 10 weeks, I would say. It happened a couple of weeks before I left for Europe. I took it with me to Europe. I've practiced it every day. First thing I see when I wake up, and I immediately get this big smile on my face. I go, yeah, that's right. God, come on, we're going to have some great adventures today. And I swear to you, I go to bed every night with gratitude because something awesome happened that day. I got to watch a cool video that gave me some insight. I got to put something into my journal that had meaning to me. I met someone who had a special message for me. I thought of someone, they called me. Something happened that was just awesome, what I consider an adventure. So, it wasn't a beliefs breakthrough or whatever. It was simply a person making a decision saying, I want to create a new habit. I want to create a new pattern in my life. And then putting the circumstances in place to have a regular practice. And that's all it was. It was an idea. It followed the law through specific practices. I'm going to make myself a reminder. So I have a daily reminder. I'm going to make sure I follow it. I'm not going to ignore it when it happens. And then by doing it over and over and over again, now it's becoming practice because I didn't bring it with me. And I woke up this morning and it was 7 o'clock and I'm like, I wonder what cool adventure I'm going to have today. Because you know how the brain works. After 30 to 60 days, a new habit starts to actually take hold. Was the happy dance? Right on. That it starts to take a hold of us. And then it becomes normal. So if you are constantly worried about money, well, guess what? You're going to get more worry about money. If you're constantly watching news and hear how horrible the economy is, well, guess what? You're contributing to it right now. So that is my next question for you. What are you ready to let go of so that you can create a new practice in your life? Who is going to share with us what they are committing themselves right here, right now, today, in sharing it with all these beautiful witnesses that we have in this group right now, so that you're so serious about that you are willing to let go of because you're just done with it. Okay, got hand number 1, hand number 2. Annette, what would you like to share?
I've been having problems with migraine headaches, and every morning I wake up, it's like, crap, I got a migraine again. And then that dominates my whole day. So this was just huge. Just a huge little shift to just wake up in the morning and just say, wow, I wonder what's in store for me today, and shift away from that. Oh God, my head hurts again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Wonderful. And we are, as your witnesses, are currently holding all the space in the world for you right now. That is your reality from this moment on. We're going to use that wonderful experience from Washington, D.C., from over 25 years ago, in holding that reality where that is already manifested for you. Blessed be. And with that, my dear friend, you're going to receive a very special gift. because our dear friend Diane, who is a woman of many traits and talents, and one of my favorite examples about how to become an elder gracefully and beautifully, and still doing lots of adventures in the whole world. And she also shares rum cakes with people. So she has donated one of her fabulous rum cakes, which you can also purchase for Thanksgiving and for Christmas if you'd like. So please get in touch with her if you want something special for those people who have everything and don't need more clutter in their life. So it's something they can actually consume. And if that works for you, then you are going to win one of those rum cakes from Diane.
I love her rum cakes.
Oh, really?
I'm not just, I'm sugar-free right now, but
See?
Christmas time, maybe not.
We rebels, we need to break those rules a little bit, right, Joni? Do I have to be 100%? I believe in the 80-20 rule. As long as I do 80-20, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Solid D student.
Oh, well, I'm so happy that you're the one who got it then. That is fantastic and it's wonderful. Heather, you had your hand up.
I just love that you brought up the whole declutter thing, because that's been a huge thing for me this year. Just like realizing how much stuff is packed into my mind and packed into my office, packed into my home and the corners of everywhere, and just realizing it doesn't serve me. It doesn't, like, I don't need to hold on to those to have the memories of that person or that event or whatever. And also to honor, you taught me, like, the inner beloved, my spirit, my soul doesn't resonate there in that energy. I can't be my inner beloved. I can't be who I'm supposed to be if there's all that crap in the way.
Yeah.
Getting me congested, I guess. And so that's I love the November challenge I'm on.
Okay. So Heather, may I say something? Because you and I are in each other's lives anyway, may I gift a session to someone in your name?
I would love that.
Okay, then let's guess who is the first person who's going to get a session. Rick Charette! Woo! You're tuned in. You ready for that? Let's have a talk, okay? Wonderful. And thank you for that lovely gift, Heather, because you worked in your abundance, and I know that those seeds that you have planted when we start working with each other are taken off. And I'm so happy that you came with a partner today. That makes me especially happy. So those seeds are blooming too. I'm loving it. Right on, right on. So Rick, we're going to get in touch with each other afterwards, and let me see. Oh my goodness, we still have so much time. I love it. So what we're doing now is we're bringing it on to practical application, you guys. And that's where the rubber hits the road, where we're going to get traction, where we're going to get momentum. And then all of a sudden we get to go into overdrive and cruise control, and we don't have to think about it consciously anymore. Just like when I woke up this morning and that little thought hit me, I wonder what awesome adventures we're going to have today, dear God. And I didn't need the reminder in that moment, because now it's been over 60 days. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be 90, 180 days and so on and so on. Just like other patterns that I recently let go of. Okay, I'm going to say it. I gave up alcohol a year and a half ago because I was like, you know what? I had my party times. I don't need that anymore. And here's the deep, dark secret. I gave up pot. Of course, the rebel gives up pot when it becomes legal, right? Duh. Why would I still do it when it's legal? Been over a year now. Never thought I could do it. So if I can give up pot, you can give up your bad habits. Trust me, guys. And if you love pot, please love it. It's wonderful. She's the goddess. Doesn't serve me anymore, but I highly recommend it for anybody who has a good relationship and is not an addict. So, got that one done. See, that's why I didn't say that at service either. Mwah. Didn't want it on the internet. No, that's for you guys. You're my beloveds, the people I can be totally honest with. Because we have those boundaries, and that's okay. Not everybody has to know it. My father, because now it's all legal in Germany, he's like, are you part of this pot planting farm? I love how it's so cute. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I would have been a year ago, but not anymore. So, good. Got that out of the way. I was wondering if I would do that. I love it. Yep, that's part of my decluttering. Thank you. So, friends, what are you willing to commit yourself to in your own lives that you can now put into practical applications? And those of you who've been around the block with me know that I love to challenge you with 3 things that you can do. That's why I did mind, body, and space. There's something magical about the number 3, the 3 wishes, you know. A lot of things come in threes. That you commit yourself to something that you can do physically. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. I'm going to get up in the morning and meditate for 5 minutes. The first thing I'm going to do in the morning is write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to play with my grandkids every day for at least 15 minutes or half an hour. I'm sure that I give my spouse a hug that is melting and let them know how much I love them. Blah, blah, and so on and so on and so on. So find something that is a practical application in a deed, in an activity that you can do. So please write that down right now. And make it easy. I'm going to write a book, and every day I'm going to write 100 pages. No, don't do that, please. Well, I'm dreaming about writing a book, and I'm going to dedicate myself for 10 minutes a day to at least dream about it and take some notes, perhaps put some stuff on a post-it note, something like that. Make it easy on yourself, you guys. We're not setting world records here. We're just shifting behaviors.
World records come later.
The world records come by itself, absolutely. And the 3% shift will turn into a curve and take you into a completely different direction. Have you ever heard of that? Just do 3%. You don't have to do 100%, and you're back where you were anyway. Just a little bit. So, got some activities. And then a thought. We had worry, lack, other things. I would like to challenge yourself with a thought that you would like to let go of. That you would like to reframe. Perhaps it goes back to that loyalty we talked about. Perhaps it goes back to the deservingness we talked about. Again, don't make it too hard on yourself. That's when we like to give up after a week or two. It's the easy stuff that sticks. And then a feeling, an emotion that you're tired of, that you just don't want to carry around anymore. And the one that I shared with you earlier was that thing about not being good enough, not measuring up, not being worthy, being too weird, that kind of stuff. So find your own. And Susan, you were the first one with your hand up. Do you want to share?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll give you another minute. Finish up your thoughts, and then I would love to hear Susan's examples because I know they're going to be great.
Okay.
And you're sitting under Namaste. Do you know that? I love it. You're sitting under the Namaste sign. It's perfect.
Oh, wow.
I know. Isn't that cool? I love it.
That's perfect.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay, well, I have stuff about lack of money and forget the inner child thing. I hear it all the time from my mom, like every day, who lives thousands of miles away. And yeah, and you had said something like it's unintentional. They say things, they don't mean it. She says things she intends to say. So I have that, and so I exert a lot of effort to maintain my, joyful way of being and using my tools so I can stay above ground, and sometimes it's very effortful as well. So I guess maybe some way to reframe that, the money and the mom thing. And my birthday, with that being said, my birthday is on Thanksgiving.
Oh, how
and
wonderful.
So you inspired me because I really would love to go on a weekend, a trip, some kind of vacation. And then, and the thought that holds me back is the money aspect. So I have that, and then I have
returned to eating healthy. I was on a really good roll. I had a
Mm-hmm.
consult with a naturopath. I have high sugar, and it's a really good deal to follow her plan. It's a good thing to do. So
And you're one of my models for that. I want you to know that. You always inspire me.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
I did
Yeah.
release 20 pounds this summer.
I know you did. That's right.
program, So,
Yeah.
so we get to talk about that. And
So-
declutter. I have lots of areas of decluttering. And I get to create abundance of money, and that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, so you just gave us 3 examples of very practical behavioral things that you do, and I commend you for that. So if you only have one right now, challenge yourself a little more. I love your examples. One of them was a very specific event that you wanted to create, and another one was something that's a little bit more ongoing. So would you please also share now something about the thought patterns? Give me a specific thought pattern that you now want to really let go of over the next 30, 60 days.
The thought patterns I want to let go are the really hurtful things that are being said to me
Gotcha,
towards my mom.
gotcha. Okay, good. Yeah. And then the feeling, emotion, which is the emotion you're done with.
Well, I'm about to cry. So yeah, it's a very deep pain to have. It's a very, very cruel thing. She's assisting me financially a little bit, so I'm working on being financially independent once again, and I can't wait till that happens.
Yeah.
Because
So give me a label for the emotion that you're ready to let go of. Because you're helping everybody else with their process as well, so I appreciate that, Susan.
I guess the hurt, the emotion is hurt, and a lot of times I put up a wall because I am working to stay above the ground and even higher because I've done so much work, and I deserve to, be loved, feel loved, have unconditional love.
I'm going to challenge you. Spit out the word, girlfriend. You're like, tiptoeing. Say the word of that emotion you just don't want to feel anymore.
The pain.
Yeah.
Pain, yeah. The
Let that
hurt,
resonate for a
the
moment,
abuse.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you created all of us today to be a witness today that this is a door opening and a new chapter in your life. And that is my greatest wish for you, and especially for Thanksgiving. As you're entering into a new age, that you're also entering into a new chapter, and really give yourself that gift that you never ever have to feel that pain on that level again, ever. And we're all holding space for you right now for that. So give that to yourself and say to your mother, I'm not your loyal daughter anymore, by propelling that pain forward that you're feeling, Mom. I'm not willing to carry that pain for you anymore, and I give it back to you, Mother. And sometimes that's what we have to do, you guys. Sometimes we have to give that pain back to our ancestors because we wrongfully took it from them. We thought we were doing them a favor, but we didn't, because we just propelled it forward. Does that make sense, Susan?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. She can only act like that because she's in pain herself. And she wants help so desperately. So everybody, let's just hold space for Susan's mom right now. For miraculous healing of her physical self, her human self, so that she can tap back into her soul self. That she can fully align with her higher power, her way of being with God, being supported, not being alone anymore. So that she doesn't have to put that on her daughter anymore. And I want to see you, Susan, rejoice with your mother. And where you just find little tiny inklings. That relationship I have with my dad now didn't come overnight. It took us 10 years. From that very first moment of me having that recognition what I was doing to myself, to honor him in some fake, weird way, to propel the dysfunction, until it turned into some conversations, very, very, very tiptoey, careful conversations, lots of meditation on my side, lots of projection of what I wanted to see in him and with him, until those seeds finally took hold, germinated, turned into those very fragile first little tiny flower seed, what's it called, the thing that comes out of the earth first. Sprouts, that's right, little sprouts. And then those sprouts, they got fertilized and they got the sunshine and they got watered until they finally over the years started to bloom and create fruits. And perhaps for you it's a little bit more like the bamboo, where the bamboo has to get nourished for a long time. And you don't see any growth, and you're like, oh my God, is it ever gonna happen? I put so much work into this, I can't believe it, it's never gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, that root system is so healthy and it's been worked for so long that then that bamboo starts to shoot up. Wow. And that's what I wish for you today, Susan, and for everybody else. That those seeds that you planted, and some of them are so old, and you're like, seriously, is it ever gonna happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Depends who I talk to.
May I gift you the sage that I have here? Last of my Arizona sage, and I know how much you love Sedona. So you were just there. And I'm gonna talk about something. Thank you for giving us a beautiful example. That takes a lot of courage, my friend, that you guys there. Thank you. You let me push it there. Okay, she makes a very important point that I want to iterate, and that's why we still have some time. Because here's the difference between, oh gee, I'm just going to max out my credit card and I'm going to live as if, right? Act as if, pretend, right? We've all thought that thought at least once. I know everybody's thought that thought at least once. How am I supposed to be all abundant when I already am maxed out and when I don't have the money coming in and da-da-da-da-da? But here I'm supposed to act all rich and abundant, and I really want to go on this trip or whatever it is. So there is a difference between just being willy-nilly and maxing out your credit cards and then having to deal with the consequences of your actions because you didn't do it in accordance with the law. And then there is a way to give yourself those experiences and still do it in accordance with the law without overextending yourself financially. Do you hear the difference, you guys? And that's where, for example, this Hawaii trip came in. Because I'm not going to the $500 a night, normal luxury condo that they offer and the whatever. It was organic. It came organically because this person had invited me so many times over the years that I finally said, the time is right. And then bless you, Delta Airlines, for having this incredible offer over Thanksgiving where it happened. If it was a $1,200, $1,500 flight, I wouldn't have done it. I paid $300. It's a joke. But it's because, Mrs. World Traveler, I'm on some kind of a travel website at least every 2-3 days and research ticket prices because I'm always planning my next trip. And they're international, so just like the gambler who goes to Las Vegas and is really good at gambling versus me who sits at the blackjack table and immediately loses everything because I don't understand the rules. I don't know how it works. I make mistakes where other people look at, oh God, I can't believe she just did that. And that's how you lose your $20 and that's it, right? That's my gambling experience. But man, I'm good at finding the best deals, and I'm already shopping for Grayson and Clover when they come to Germany, and they're not going to pay a penny over $600 to go to Europe and back. Round trip. That's how much you can fly to Europe for right now. When I went to Tunisia for a whole month, it cost me $700. Flight, hotel, 2 meals a day, and the transfer from the hotel and my luggage was free for 4 weeks. That's because it is a well-practiced muscle. So that is my world. And I'm not doing this to brag, you guys. I really hope you get that. I'm just giving you guys some examples of what's possible out there. Because it's your belief that it's too expensive to go XYZ. So doing the research, knowing that you're going during the right time, having some kind of a general plan of what to expect. Just like when I ended up in Egypt. My sister won the trip. She won a trip at Christmas party because she's a travel agent. And then she said she put a bunch of people in her hat and said she drew my name, which I don't believe is true. I think she did that, so I feel special. She said, hey, by the way, you just want a trip with me to Egypt. So we went to the Red Sea for 2 weeks, and then my mom said, you can't go to Egypt and not see the pyramids. So she gave us a trip to pyramids for Christmas. Yeah. That's how I ended up in Egypt for the first time. And then my husband said, well, I want to go to Egypt. So that's what we did for next Christmas. So, I mean, you guys, you'd never know how this stuff is going to happen. So don't do it willy-nilly, maxing out your credit cards, because you do have to pay the consequences over time. Unfortunately, they come with a pretty high interest. And Reverend Cindy talked about that last week. I laughed so hard when I heard that. And I live that way. Oh yeah, I've done stuff like that. And then there are those investments where you're like, you know what? This is the right thing to do right now. And I 100% trust the universe that this is the right investment for me right now. I'm thinking of my son who at 20 years old bought his first house. And that was right when COVID hit and the interest rates were still low. And our house is now worth almost twice as much. Because it was perfect. His timing could not have been more perfect. Now he wouldn't be able to do it. With the interest rates and how much those prices have gone up in Canap, they're going crazy in Canap. So use your discernment. Use your discernment, do your research, have a plan, have a clear vision, use the law. The idea is, I want to do a cruise around the world. Actually, one of those things I really want to do, and I know it's going to happen very soon, is a river tour in Germany. I want to do the Rhine River, like many people have done. You're going to the Donau, the Danube, you're going all the way down to Bratislava and stuff like that, Yeah, it's on my radar. And my cousin, who's she is 10 years younger than me, because I'm going to celebrate my 60th, and she's going to celebrate her 50th, and we both have a contract that we're going to jump on the Queen Mary and sail from London to Hamburg, which is 2 nights, so we're doing a appropriate investment for my first ever cruise, because I'm terrified of the oceans, I admit that, and I don't want to be in the deep oceans. I'm a little Titanic, scared. So that's a safe investment for me. And I'm already putting money away for it. I'm doing research. I have catalogs at home. Seriously, that's my toilet lecture. I have phenomenal hotels from around the world. I have beautiful river cruises, and those are those catalogs that I just thumb through in private times. So don't be willy-nilly. Does that make sense? And that's the difference. And that's why, Susan, whatever plan you're having right now is absolutely appropriate. While you're also trusting that the universe will provide. And that's where the law of attraction gets a bad name. Oh, there's just a bunch of people sitting on their couches wishing for crap. Did you know that right now manifestation is the hated word on TikTok? Oh, my sister had to send me that thing about, this is what Germans think about manifestation. And it just bashed it. I was just laughing the whole way through. I'm like, yup, that's right. And that's your universe right now. And that's what you're getting. How manipulative it is, and how all these people have now these emotional and mental issues because they trusted in the law of attraction. And then when it didn't happen, it was their fault.
Because they only did it for 2 weeks.
For example, and they never dug deeper and realized their limiting beliefs, their non-deservingness, and so on and so on. And I just was like, oh, seriously, guys, come on, we're in the 21st century. Makes me sad. It really makes me sad that that's the information that's being propelled. And it's usually because we don't take it from thinking it, feeling it, into the actions of it. And that's the difference that's going to make it happen for you guys. And it doesn't matter if it is a disease that you're dealing with. And I know that's where Sean's laughing again, because those of you are going, so why the hell didn't he heal himself of cancer? And I asked him that. I'm like, why don't you heal yourself of cancer? He said, because I'm done. And those of you who read my post know that he had a very spiritual experience 20 years ago, and he was ready to go there. He wanted to go there. And I support that. Because I was there when he had it, and I remember it, and we talked about it so often. So he got exactly what he wanted. And he went out with a bang, trust me. If it's financial thrive that you're dealing with, Bye, Linda. If it's financial issues, it is what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and how you're acting. The dollar that you're spending right now, coming from a place of faith, is going to multiply. The dollar that you're spending from a place of worry and fear, and I don't have enough, is not going to multiply. It's going to multiply into the opposite. So just like when they say, as you're manifesting, make sure you're in a good state. Give thanks first. Don't manifest from a place of fear. Don't pray from a place of fear. Mwah. Love you, ladies. Don't manifest from a place of fear. Manifest from a place of love, because it's not the words that the universe is hearing. It's the emotion that you're conjuring up, which is an energetic vibration that then sends out into the universe. Does that make sense? If that's not what you got from The Secret, then you seriously need an upgrade, you guys. It is the energetic vibration, the frequency that you're sending out. So you can literally sit there and go blah, 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 blah. As long as you're in a place of deepest gratitude in that moment, you're going to get it. You're going to get more of that emotion that you just sent out. Does that make sense, you guys? You're raising your hand, or you're just... Yeah, please.
I'm wondering if you have specific advice or guidance for people that have, I mean, this is all done mentally to start, that have mental issues. Like maybe the dementia is coming on, or depression or anxiety, and those thoughts are more apt to come for some people. Do you have specific advice for that?
Okay, so now we're treading on very thin ice, because now we're getting into the mental health arena, and I am not a licensed therapist, neither am I a mental health professional, okay? Right. I'm saying that out loud. So what you're going to hear is my opinion.
Sure.
And this is what I learned in China, because Chinese are in the prevention of disease business model and health model, versus our model in the West is more built on, you're sick and we're going to give you a lot of drugs and the pharmaceuticals are really going to love it. Okay, so I have some very specific opinions about that stuff. From a purely spiritual level, if someone has depression or any kind of other mental illness, which I identified myself as someone with anxiety. And I didn't know that. I didn't have a word for it when I was young, and all of a sudden I had the sweaty palms, and I would downward spiral, and then I would get nauseous, you know. Nobody talked about depression or anxiety or anything like that, or bipolar, whatever labels we have. There's so many, and they come up with new stuff every day, which is amazing. So, from a spiritual level, what I can tell you, it is a contract that we made on our soul level, that this is part of our playground in this physical existence to help us with our hero's journey. So for some people it's depression, for some people it's lack, for some people it's relationship issues, for some people it's I'm the child of divorced parents, and that's why I can never attract a cool partner. So in that realm, we do not talk about mental issues or mental health issues. And therefore, depression, to use that example, or anxiety, is just a symptom. It is just a physical manifestation of thoughts that have been thought for a very long time. It's about feelings that have been maintained for a very long time, and activities that have been exhibited for a very long time. And it brings it back to the loyalty, because most of the time it is again to honor someone else in our family who had the same issues. And to quote Bert Hellinger, who was a phenomenal therapist from Germany who worked mostly with Holocaust victims, and he is famous for family constellations, he would now do a family constellation with that person asking that question, and identifying whose destiny they are living out by allowing themselves to have those kind of symptoms. Okay. Is that a good answer?
I like
that
it.
helps you? Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, so that was just me backtracking and swimming on the ice and going, oh my God, I hope they don't kill me, okay? So now the answer is, what do? We wanted practical applications. Same thing what we did when I remembered Jen's name. You visualize, you write it down, you make a decision. That's perhaps the most important thing. Awareness and making a decision. Okay. you're aware of it, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to buy into this anymore. Just like when I was blown away, I'm like, I think what I have is anxiety. I always liked to say when remember the ADD wave. Remember that, guys? When all of a sudden, ADD. Nobody knew about ADD. There was a time when nobody here knew the word PTSD, right? And then there was all of a sudden that wave. And that's when my joke became, if they would have diagnosed me, I would be ADD too, because I always do 10 things at the same time. And I always like running around doing different stuff, and then I forget the other thing I was doing, you know? So we have grown as a culture, and we're not living in the same universe we did 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago. So from a purely law of attraction point of view, it's just a symptom. So what you're doing is you're visualizing, you're talking to yourself, and you're acting. And that's called thinking. Thinking is not just, gee, I want a hot dog. Thinking also comes in the pictures we're making and the activities we're doing with our body. Those of you who like Jordan Peterson, what's his first law? Stand up straight and put your shoulders back. First thing we learned in NLP. Stand straight. It's tough to be depressed when you're standing straight. You have to be in that physiology. I can make myself depressed right here on the spot just by doing certain behaviors that are going to activate my depression. God, you know, down the road, it's probably going to get really tough for future generations. Oh, God, those poor Gen Zs. I feel so sorry for Gen Z and all the stuff. And, oh, my God, what's going on in Israel right now? Those poor people. You know what I mean? Versus shoulders back, you know what? I trust in my relationship with God. I trust that I'm always at the right place at the right time. So you are ultimately a thinking machine. Let's make it very basic. And those thoughts generate emotions. And those emotions can go all the way down from hopelessness, depression, and the other one is scarcity, and there is also resentment. Those are low vibrational emotions, and what that physically literally means is they are slow, low waves if you were to measure them. Your high vibrations are gratitude, joy, service, love, positive expectations, and all those. So you find ways after you made the decision, I'm done with that. I just don't want to live like that anymore. And then you put those practices into place that allow you over time, as we know that we are changing habits in 30, 60, 90 days, and then 180 days from now, you're like, you know what? It's been a while since I had a bad day. So you do the things that you visually do by creating the environment that constantly reminds you. And some of you have seen a picture or two of me posting my bedroom office. It is an Egyptian palace. And I spent 3 months painting a mural of the 3 pyramids with a beautiful ankh coming out and then surrounded by a spiral. And that's my constant reminder of the vortex. I can't go to a thrift shop without buying some physical Egyptian thingy, and I have a bunch of stuff, and I'm not going to declutter it because I love them all. And I rotate them. Oh, I've decluttered a lot. Everything from China went. The Egyptian made in China is gone. But the Egyptian made in Egypt is there because I love that stuff. And a lot of it I brought myself. So have discernment, artwork, the shows that you watch. The shows. What kind of shows are you guys watching? You know, are you watching The Good Witch? That's a great show, you guys. Yeah. Some other shows, some wonderful movies. I just watched Evan Almighty. I cried. I laughed. Oh my God, what a wonderful show about trusting deep, deep, deep belief and knowing that you have a calling. And even so, people might call you crazy and make fun of you on the outside, and you're showing up in your weird robes, and all of a sudden you were the one who was right. And you showed up at the right time with the right resources to do the right thing in that moment. How fabulous. So find those movies, find those TV shows that just elevate you, where you have to laugh and you're going, wow. So look for it. Positive manifestation movies, you know. One of my favorite people I listen to is Florence Scovel Shinn. Those of you who have been metaphysicists for many years know her. Florence And just start typing in Florence, Scovel, and then the rest is going to show up because she has white spelling. Tons of videos about her. Playing the game of life, unlocking the secret door of knowledge, irgend sowas. She was one of those metaphysical people from New York from the 1920s. Edwina Gaines, Catherine Ponder, Abraham, Esther Hicks. My friend, every time I talk to her, she's listening to Abraham, something. And she's one of those bam, bam, bam manifestors. Phenomenal. So you surround yourself with the input that is going to hold you accountable to vibrate at the level you want to vibrate at. Make sense? Visually, auditorily, and kinesthetically. Don't sit on furniture you don't like. Don't eat from plates where you're like, ugh, I hate those plates. Don't eat foods you don't want to eat. You can get more nourishment from a burger if you eat it with love than making yourself a veggie, whatever, going, I hate those veggies. Seriously, you guys. Because it's the vibration you're sending into the universe in that moment. Yeah. Funny, right? But it's true. Yeah. Trippy, huh? Thank you for that fantastic question. So did you get a very comprehensive, practical answer too now?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. And especially as a musician, one of the things I love about my father, he always whistles, he always hums. Always. It's hilarious. It's adorable. We're doing something in the kitchen, all of a sudden, you know, and I'm like, right on, there he goes. Because they've proven it, that old people, people who are aging, the healthiest people are who do lots of humming and singing. How trippy is that, huh? Yeah. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
good stuff. I saw a hand over there, that's right. And I have 2 more prizes, you guys, so let me do one of them first. And then I think this might be a question comment because we are getting to 3 o'clock, believe it or not, it actually did happen. And you know what, this is one of those moments, and I do not like that saying, time flies when you're having fun. Why would I want that? It's one of those beliefs that I believe is just untrue. I like the 12 hours in the airplane to fly by like fun, right? And usually when people ask me, oh my God, what a long flight, I'm like, 4 movies. Love it, 4 movies. And I want the times of fun to stretch out. So this feels like a lot of time that we had together. Ah, this is so unfair, Angela Gifford. I'm sorry, I'm going to revoke the right. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I know you definitely want to give this to someone else. Because, oh my goodness, I need glasses. Nancy! Is that you? Nancy Keeley? That is you, my dear friend. So make sure that you do have given me your phone number, so we shall have a session together. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for playing, ma'am. And thank you for donating your session. I appreciate that. So, Bonnie, what did you have?
I just wanted to address this question here from a lived experience. I was diagnosed 25 years ago with bipolar and then later depression and then later schizophrenia. I've been hospitalized 4 times. So I know the severity of and the pain of mental illness. NLP has been the most powerful thing in my life for true healing, like to rewrite those belief systems that were planted during early childhood trauma that then led to self-sabotage and psychotic breaks. Rewriting those belief systems, it works. It's powerful. I just wanted to give that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that very unrequited testimonial. Thank you, my friend. And I'm so happy because you did take your practitioner last year, and look what you've done in that year. I'm going to shamelessly put out a plug. Bonnie is a gifted piano player, and I've seen multiple of her recitals live and on video. And Bonnie just recently agreed to do a recital with me in January. We're looking for January, where we are going to do intuitive piano music with intuitive singing. We're going to partner up together and take people through NLP processes non-verbally. Simply by associating first into the pain and the suffering, then offering the resources and then end up in a place of hope and healing. So please mark your calendar for that. Somewhere in January, we're currently looking for a beautiful venue where we can do that. And you know what? We didn't even think about, this is a venue. I'm sure that you guys would be willing to host us. So that might be actually just had that idea. So the guys, and thank you for what you just said, and from the person's perspective who's actually been through it and got some solace. I love it. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for that. Well, that's going to lead us to one more drawing, and hold your intent. So the person who's meant to have that conversation is showing up right now. Who is it? Annette Piper. Okay. That's hilarious. Okay, how did this work? Oh, you got the rum cake. Ooh, she's a double winner. Ooh. Well, you said you wanted some time, so do you want to do it?
Yep.
Let's do it. Congratulations, my dear. It is 3 o'clock. Do we have any burning question? Is there anybody right now saying, I really wanted to ask and I was a little shy earlier? Chat, what's up, dude?
For NLP, for beginners, books or any...
Oh, I'm going to talk with you afterwards. And yes, there's a ton of knowledge out there. NLP was created in the early 70s by a mathematician and a linguist. And that's when computers first came out, and they thought, wow, how computers can be such a powerful metaphor for the brain, because you have a software and you have a hardware. The hardware is the physiological wiring of your neurology. The software are the beliefs that drive the neurology. And so as you start changing your language patterns and you start making different pictures and you're starting to create a different environment and act differently, you literally change the hardwiring of your brain. And that's what I find so fascinating. And that's why I can sit in front of you today and have such an awesome time, like we're hanging out in my living room, having a very casual conversation, versus driving myself crazy like I did 20, 30 years ago, and having anxiety attacks about, they don't like me, and I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing and stuff like that. It was rewired in my brain through consistent practices. And that's where the law of attraction is now going into overdrive, you guys, to give it the closing words. Unless we have someone else? Any more hands?
I did want to
Check in
share
with
a
yourself,
testimony,
please.
a quick testimonial.
Oh, I love testimonials.
During the pandemic, I feel I landed into depression. I was never clinically diagnosed with it, but that's how I got into law of attraction, by watching Esther Hicks and all that. And I always started reaching for a better feeling thought, just tweaking it a little bit. And then in 2004, I got a new job. No, 2022, I got a new job. And my boss actually said to me, "You're the most positive person I know." And that was really made me cry, because I'm like, how did I do that in 2 years? I did it all by myself. I never went to, a therapist or anything. So I believe it can be done.
Thank you so much for sharing that and giving all of us hope for that. Yeah, cool. So check in with yourself right now, and please just discern, what is the most powerful thing I heard here today, or what is that mind blower that I hadn't anticipated, or just something that touched you today that you're going to take with you. Look at your list of 3 items minimum that you wrote down for yourself. See that it's doable, that it's going to be fun, that you can do it, that you deserve it. And then let's make a declaration to the universe right now, an affirmation, as I lead us in a closing meditation, where you fully open yourself up to your soul, that beautiful part of you that is already aligned with the universe, that is vibrating at the highest frequencies of love and oneness and gratitude, adventure and joy and happiness and peace and trust. And that part of you is so real. And it completely dominates your consciousness when you so choose. And that part is right now smiling at you and hugging you and loving you and affirming you of those choices that you're making today. And that part is going to hold open that door of opportunity for you and showering you with those wonderful little coincidences and synchronicities and those wonderful little moments where you know that you're on the right path. It's keeping you safe and protected. It's encouraging you. It's challenging you here and there if you need a little challenge. And then open that up even more so that you now also feel that with your divine self, that part of you that is God. That part of you that is so beyond anything that we could ever describe in words as these cute little humans that we are. But that part that you so deeply know. That is always there, that has never ever left you. And even in your hardship, and even those moments when you thought, why this has happened to me, that you do understand it when you look at the bigger picture of your life and your mission in this life. And that part of you is also embracing you and your soul, knowing that you are its beloved children, and you are that beautiful physical expression of that all. And you are divine. So bringing all of that down again from the idea, the vortex, the vagueness, the energy field, into the physical manifestation of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, which now really intensify that vibration and make it more and more dense so that it now can show up in behaviors and it can show up in actual physical objects that you get to experience or experiences that you get to enjoy. And that is the space that we're all holding for each other today. And we're going to end it together with our declaration. And so it is. Yoo-hoo! Good job, everybody.